It's a beautiful day right here in the city of Lagos, Nigeria. How are you all doing? Welcome to another interesting edition of Maritime Frontiers on Voice of the People TV. My name is Amina Ojelabi. For more updates on our programs, kindly click on the subscription button on our YouTube page at VOPTV Live. Today, we'll talk about power play, how bureaucracy playing in and outside of the Nigerian ports, and lots more. But our main focus is bonded terminal. And first, let's know what is bonded terminal. A bonded terminal is a secure facility where imported goods can be stored under customs supervision. Essentially, it is a customs controlled area where goods can be stored temporarily, either for re-export or for eventual release into the domestic market upon payment of applicable duties. Now, despite Nigerians' growing cross-border trade and expanding terminal operations both locally and abroad, systematic inefficiencies and man-made obstacles are choking progress, particularly at the Kirikiri Lighter Terminal, KLT. Now, while terminals like Apapa and Tinkan are treated as full commands with authority, KLT is sidelined, relegated to mere terminal status. Now, this imbalance fuels confusion among terminal operators who are now questioning the viability of staying under KLT's weakening command structure as bureaucratic bottlenecks now stifle container clearance and delay cargo flow. VOPTV had an exclusive media chat with Francis Chilaka, the terminal manager, Simo Logistics Limited, which is directly under the KLT command, Lagos. And Chilaka identified some of the problems, challenges, and possible solutions for the survival of the bonded terminal to function properly. He further stated that the heart of the problem is a revenue-driven tug of war between custom commands, also holding containers hostages under disguise of hitting fiscal target. This and more coming up in a moment.
Are you planning a special occasion? Or are you looking for a place to store your boat? Welcome to Big's Boat Club and Gardens. Our gardens provides a serene ambience for those special occasions like weddings, birthdays, family picnics, or any outdoor event. And if you're a boat lover and you've been worried about where to store your precious boat, worry no more. We introduce Big's Boat Club and Gardens. At Big's Boat Club and Gardens, we are more than just a boatyard. We are a premier destination for boat lovers. We provide a secure environment for you to store your priceless boats, and we ensure they are in top shape for whenever you need them. Our members have freedom to commercialize their boats for exclusive cruises and luxury trips to stunning beach houses. And when it's time to set sail, our on-site fuel station ensures you are always ready to cruise in style. Big's Boat Club and Garden is located at Wale Olateju Crescent off Admiralty Way, Lekki Phase 1. Follow us on Instagram at BigsGarden_BBC. Big's Garden, where leisure meets lifestyle.
So let's start with bonded terminals. Do you want to give us a summary about its operations? Currently, we are in your office, and we have seen, we've moved around. We can see some of the export cargoes. We can see the import cargoes, and it seems like there's a lot of seamless operation. You don't seem like you're facing any challenges, are you?
Every bonded terminal faces a lot of challenges, and these challenges most times are man-made. And the major challenge starts with customs, in the sense that it depends on which command you are.
Okay.
For those of us who are under the KLT command, we have a big challenge. And that challenge is actually making a lot of terminal owners to begin to rethink, do we continue to stay with KLT, or do we break out from KLT and move to Apapa or Tinkan, or do we even close down? And the challenge is simple because um, the two major mother terminals, mother commands, so to say, that's Apapa and Tinkan, they treat KLT as if it's a terminal. They don't treat it as a command. So when you want to move your containers from from Tinkan or Apapa, there are too many bottlenecks. Too many. So you find out that something that would take you 5 days, 5 working days, 6 working days, sometimes in 1 month, you have not been able to move a container. Because the officers are all putting
A layman.
well, the bottlenecks to a layman. To KLT. KLT is a command. So KLT has the same authority as Tinkan. So those documentations they're asking for to hold the container back are the same documentations that KLT should actually ask for. So what they should do is to make it seamless in such a way that if I'm going to move a container from Tinkan, it is not coming to me, it is coming to KLT. So let it be that it gets to KLT. Let KLT now determine how they want to go about their own operations. But what Tinkan and Apapa is doing is that they are holding KLT down and determining how KLT should function. Meanwhile, you have what we call a CSC in Apapa, you have a CSC in Tinkan, you have a CSC in KLT. And they're all the same ranks. And they're all controllers. So if you have people of the same rank running different parastatals, and yet some other people feel that, no, I must act like a watchdog or a supervisor over another command, then there's a big problem.
Why do you think such a challenge comes in?
Well, first of all, I think the challenge is all about this whole brouhaha about revenue targets. That is the major problem. Everybody is holding on to the boxes because they want to be on record that they have generated more targets. And in doing that, they call us partners. They call us stakeholders. But they're holding the stakeholders by the neck, by the throat. So I think, and I believe that government has a solution to it. The CG of Custom has a solution to it. And that solution is simple. Let it be known that KLT is a command. If they don't give that authority to KLT, then they should actually ask people who have bonded terminals under KLT to move into Apapa or Tinkan. Because if you don't do that, if you don't do that, then you're saying that KLT should close down. Meanwhile, you have officers in KLT that are earning salaries, just like the same officers in Apapa and Tinkan. They are all the same ranks. So it's not like saying, oh, that you have junior officers in KLT and you have, no, they are all the same ranks, the same custom officers, doing the same thing, earning the same salary from taxpayers' money. So why stifle one end and allow the other end to blossom?
Of the B-Odogo system designed for seamless cargo operations like tracking, document processing, compliance monitoring. Chilaka faulted the problems, but rather has not helped with effective smooth flow operations with bonded terminal.
Well, the bonded terminals are still not, a lot of us have not keyed into it. A lot of us have not keyed into it. The documentation processing is all that is going on right now. We've gone for trainings, we've gone for talks on it and all of that. But the question we, bonded terminals, keep asking is, when you change a system, why make it expensive for bonded terminals to key into it? We were expecting that in moving from NICES to Biodogo, it will be seamless software. The equipment we already have should be used. But the impression we are getting from those who are responsible, who are meant to key us into it, They are still asking us to pay a lot of money. And these are custom registered um, agents, what do I call them agents? Consultants that are doing it. So it's not like we terminal owners don't go and employ anybody from outside. It is the same people that the custom people recommend. And interestingly, it is the same people who handle the former system that are still handling the current system. So we had thought, oh, it's a seamless thing. It's the software and all of that. And then everybody will log on to it. But no. And as you know, not all the commands too across the country have keyed into Odogwu. They are still test running it. And the whole idea of the Odogwu was to make transaction friendly and seamless and all of that. But see, let me tell you the truth. Custom has a big problem. And that is the problem of what? Network. There are days, for 2 days, 3 days, there will be no network. And the client would want to release his or her cargo. And if there is no network, nobody can release it. No. The network issue has been there all this while. The network issue has been there. Custom, if they are sincere, they've been battling with it. And then we keep asking, if I go and clear and move my container and I want to clear it, and I need to release it, and it takes me 2 days, those 2 days I'm going to pay for demurrage. And this is where it becomes more difficult for people to do business. So we keep asking, when you say, oh, people should do, Nigeria wants to be, business friendly and all of that, but you have bottlenecks that government is not looking at, or those who are meant to look at them are not looking at them. Network is a very big issue with customs. They need to do something about it.
Earlier this year, the Nigerian Customs Service, it came out, a representative of them, they had a meeting with some stakeholders talking about trying to promote the international cargo tracking, a way of fast tracking cargoes, and which is going to be seamlessly operated under the Nigerian Shippers Council. So if you are still, as at this era, still battling with network issues, what do you think could have been done to fast track that ICTM into existence and make it effortlessly work for you?
Well, when you talk about the Shippers Council and you talk about customs and you talk about NPA, everybody seems to be running around in circles. It's like a circus. Everybody wants, I think this whole idea of everybody wants to shine. Everybody wants to, oh, it is me. It's the same thing you have with governance, with our, state governors. There's no continuity. Somebody comes in tomorrow, he feels, oh, no, this is not what we want. This is what we want. And people don't question it. It's a wonderful thing, and it's going to be a beautiful thing if you have fast tracking. But how do you fast track when your networks are not working? How do you do the fast tracking? The whole essence of fast tracking is to say, once your container comes, in 24 hours, your container is out. So long as your documentations are perfect. 24 hours, maximum 48 hours. This is the services most terminal owners are giving out to their clients. Because we know that the more your container stays in the terminal or at the port, you're incurring more cost in terms of demurrage. So everybody wants a situation where sharp, these things are, and that is why some of us, we start the process of moving the container from the mother port to our terminal, even before the ship arrives. We do that. We are on top of that. That's what all terminals do. But the point is, it's not with the terminals. This whole fast tracking has nothing to do with the terminal. It has to do with the internal workings of customs and the Shippers Council. They need to have a relationship that does not affect anybody's goods.
If you talk about a relationship between the Nigerian Shippers Council and the Nigerian Customs Service, never let's forget that there are a lot of associations. We have the freight forwarders, we have the custom license, we have a whole lot of them in operation, and every one of them wants to. We have an imported association. We have a whole lot of them. How do you think this is a restrict that even the government itself, we're talking about the Nigerian Customs Service are supposed to be the overruling most of these bodies. Yeah. Do you think that they have not done better? Or that is why it's causing there's a whole lot of problem we have in the port of corrupt practices that we can hardly identify. You know, we can hardly take out all these borders, unnecessary borders that are not even, that are not registered bodies operating.
No, you can't say they're not registered, because if they're not registered, they won't definitely operate there.
We have some that are not registered on that CRS.
What we need to do, which is what customs needs to do, is to streamline their operations. See, the problem with all these other bodies is that people just wake up and they say, oh, we're frustrated, we're not happy with the way things are going this way. They come together as a body and establish themselves. It shouldn't be. If we're going to have two primary bodies like the NAGAF and the ANCLA, beautiful. Let it be that whatever differences you have, whatever you fit into, you must be able to fit into these two. As I share with you, we have two, we even have indigenous. Now they're beginning to break down into states. So you have too many, when you have too many bodies, you have corruption. Because everybody is coming with their own ideas. So I think that customs should wake up to the reality to say, no, we can't have these multiple bodies running around. You have two bodies. Define what they're supposed to do and work with them. When you work with them, you will have a good working relationship. For us who are terminal owners, we sometimes don't even know how to deal with these bodies. Because these bodies themselves, they are not even fighting the cause of the terminal owners.
The terminal owners have an association.
Well, it is not pronounced.
Okay.
It is not pronounced. Ordinarily, we should. But you know that every command has a branch of these associations. So the only time you see us come together is when the controller calls for stakeholders meetings. And that's when everybody comes together to air their views. But it is one thing to air your views. It's another thing for implementation. So the corruption we're talking about in the system, ANCLA have their own role to play. NAGAF have their own role to play. Custom have their own role to play. Forgetting other agencies. Because other agencies are not really much involved. But they're only involved when there's going to be examination. But if you're talking about the key stakeholders, we're talking of custom. Custom is the overall. So custom should be able to say, these too many bodies is not allowed. And define the role of these bodies and be ready to work with them. We expect that custom should have some respite for the owners of terminals, because a lot of investment has gone into setting up terminals. Like us, for instance, you've seen the terminal. Now imagine that in a month you don't get a container. How do you pay salaries? And you don't get a container because of the shortfalls, inadequacies within the custom itself. So the bodies don't really have much to do. We're looking at where the problem lies with terminal owners, and that is the relationship between the terminal owners and the mother ports. So we expect that the mother ports should be open and receptive. They may be open. I mean, Tinkan, Apapa will probably are more susceptible to the terminals under them. But how about those who are under KLT? How do you want them to survive? I think the first thing first is it has nothing to do with the roads. The congestion you saw on the roads had nothing to do with it. Because if the roads are congested, you can't move your containers anywhere. When Apapa Road was congested, you can't move. So when we talk about the roads, I don't think the road is not the problem. The problem, the core reason why bonded terminals were set up was to decongest the mother ports. It's not about the roads. So, in other words, if they don't have enough, the bonded terminals should close down. No, no. Even as it is now, the mother ports are still congested. In as much as the volume has reduced, the ships are coming in on a daily basis. So the mother port actually is supposed to be like a holding bay once the ships come in, and then you distribute. You are meant to distribute so that there will be free flow of traffic. But if you are saying that, oh, these things have to be cleared in the mother port, how is government encouraging employment and the success of businesses? So these are things we should look at. If you want to promote trade, you must make it in such a way that, one, the ports are not congested. You must, two, make it in such a way also that the bonded terminals that were opened are running. Because if you make it that way, you are creating employment. You are diversifying the industry. But if you say, oh, because the number of import has reduced, so you cannot give out. No. The reason why you're having this problem with bonded terminal is because the two major mother ports, I think they're just carried away with revenue targets. Now, when you talk about arms and drugs importation, first and foremost, the truth is that there is no bonded terminal that goes out of their way to import. Bonded terminals don't import. Bonded terminals are more like a holding bay. Bonded terminals do not control what you as an importer is bringing into the country. When these things enter into the bonded terminal, there is no bonded terminal that restricts customs and other agencies from carrying out examination of those boxes. If they do that, then you will not discover them. So it's an open thing. Nobody restricts anybody. The bonded terminals are not responsible. See, when you are an importer and you give me a bill of lading, it is what is written on the bill of lading that we will use to process your documentation. It is only at the point of examination that we can now say what is on the bill of lading is different from what is inside the container. And the examination is not carried out by the terminal owners. The examination is carried out jointly between the customs and other agencies.
All right. Can you please explain how bonded terminals help business manage their cash flow more efficiently when dealing with import goods?
In what way?
Okay. Let's start with. Do you think that importers trust bonded terminals enough, to patronize you rather than have their cargoes in the mother port?
Well, if that's the question, yes, they do.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, I'll tell you why.
Why?
Why is because if, for instance, your container is coming in, say today is 15th or so, or 14th. Yeah. If your container is coming in, say next week, the bonded terminal will take at least 7 working days to process your document, to be able to move your container from the ports to the bonded terminal. Every importer wants to save 1 naira. That 1 naira is important to them. Most bonded terminals do not collect demurrage. And even the ones that collect demurrage, it is very, very insignificant compared to what you pay at the mother port. So it is these services that the bonded terminals put before importers to encourage them. And the moment your container enters into a bonded terminal and your documentations are right and there is network, in less than 48 hours, you can pick your container.
What role does the custom play in this terminal, bonded terminal?
They do the examination. They handle the examination. They do the releasing.
Okay.
Like I said, we are a holding bay.
Within the 7 days of documentation?
No, the 7 days is to move the container.
On how
Okay, we run a transire. That's a document used to move either from a Papa or Tinkan to the bonded terminal. Once it comes in, once the container enters here now, the importer or his agent will go and do capturing.
Okay.
Once they do the capturing, they come and do examination. And like I said, the examination is jointly done between customs and other agencies. After that, I mean, if what is inside is not contraband, it's not hazardous, immediately you go, once they finish that, the customs write their report. Their report doesn't take more than 30 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on the number of containers. So once they write the report, they give it back to the agent. The agent goes to the releasing officer and he releases. Once he releases, if you do it today and you get if there's network, you get your release between now and 4:35, you carry your container. Nobody will hold it. If not, the next morning by 8, 9 when we resume, your container is out.
But what if this is found like some infractions are in the container? Do you have any power, to help importers, not their cargoes be pounded or diverted to FOU?
No, it depends on what you're carrying. For us as a bonded terminal, it's customs that knows what is contraband and what shouldn't come in.
You don't know.
We know, but we are not the ones who do the examination. Even at the mother port, it is customs that do the examination. We are merely observers. So if they finish even at the mother port, if they finish the examination, they are the ones who would certify whether the container is free to go or not. We don't handle the releasing. All we want you to do is give us the document showing that this container has been released, and you place your truck, you load and you go. No terminal determines whether your container will go out or not. Once your container is released from customs, there's no need to anybody to hold your container back. And if you're carrying a contraband, it is also for customs. It is only customs. Between customs, NDLEA, NAFDAC, and DSS, they're the only ones who can impound your container. And they will give you reasons why they're impounding it. So they don't impound it in your absence. They'll give you reasons why the container has been impounded and why the container has been transferred from the bonded terminal to FOU. That is where you have master corruption. I'm not going to mince words about it. The call-up system is a corrupt system. Because at the end of the day, you'll find out that there are people that have been assigned or they've been, asked to handle it. Maybe they call them agencies or they call them third parties. Sometimes, it depends. Sometimes people pay as high as 200,000, 150,000 to get call-up. And the call-up has a time limit. So if you do a call-up, for instance, if you do a call-up to a Papa and there's traffic or something happens on the road and it expires, you have to pay another money to get another call-up. Good. The whole essence of call-up is to create order. But the way they're going about it is the problem. If you recall when Apapa used to be blocked, Apapa Road, it's call-up. Because of the call-up system, because of the traffic of getting into the ports, accessing the port and coming out, sometimes you're on the traffic and your call-up will expire. And what do? That's how you find out some drivers will just abandon off their engine and take a walk. But I think that, for me, I believe that this call-up thing, we've been going back and forth about it.
Well, the implementation of call-up has been working very well, and we've seen the advantages of it during our Papa access here.
What you're seeing is a make-believe. The real thing is not what you're seeing.
How do you mean?
I'm telling you that the corruption inside that call-up is enormous. A lot of people are ripping off people with call-up.
Is it from the truck
Is it
owners
the operator
or
or the government agencies?
That's why I said we don't even know who. I know that, for instance, if you want to get a call up to a papa now, you're not even talking of government. There are people who are handling it. Maybe they've assigned it to them to handle, or maybe they've subcontracted it to them. See, government needs to come out clean and say, okay, call up is 10 naira, and make it easy for you to get. When you have a system that makes it difficult for people to access it, you are creating room for corruption. So tell us, oh, call up. If I want, call up is 10,000 naira. Pay to so bank. Online transaction. And when you pay, send your receipt of payment to so number. And they'll get back to you immediately. But it's not. It's not as seamless as people want us to believe. If it's seamless, people will not be complaining in Lekki. So people who are complaining, they know what they're going through. They're not complaining because they think the rates are high. They are complaining because of the corruption in the system. And nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to stop the corruption. Because there are people who I think
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has come out to say that he is going to tackle corruption. And that's a smile from you because it's like you have a lot to say. And the sector, the maritime sector, it should have been the first where it should look into. But do you think with this current statement, talking about a lot of these corrupt practices happening, especially in our port operations, how do you think it can be better working closely with the Ministry of Marine and Tourism?
talk is cheap. Let me start from there. It is one thing for Mr. President to say something. It's another thing for those who are implementing it to follow it to the letter. When people say Mr. President said he's going to fight corruption, I keep asking them, at what point during his campaigns did he make that promise? The corruption we're talking about is not from the ordinary people. It starts from the top. It starts from the top. Every corruption you've seen in the maritime industry, it doesn't start from the man on the street. It doesn't start from the clerk. It starts from the top and it trickles down. We as terminal owners, we know that there's corruption in the system. Even to run a Transaya, we know the corruption in the system. But who do you hold responsible?
How do you assess the current minister, Buiga Oyetola, since he became the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy?
Let me say that my problem with a lot of our ministers is I think they love the camera and they love too much English. If you want to diversify this industry, it is easy to diversify and increase revenue and increase employment.
Okay.
You have Tinkan in Lagos. You have Apapa in Lagos. You have KLT in Lagos. You have Lekki in Lagos. You have Ikorodu that is coming up in Lagos. 5. What stops the minister from thinking as if there is no box? Open up other states. When you open up other states, you are not only going to increase the revenue generation, you are going to increase productivity, you are going to increase employment, you are going to increase development. So this is what we are asking for. This is what I expect the minister to do. You say, okay, what's happening at On Airport? Is it up to standard? What can we do? Is there any other state that has, water that we cannot, use? If we're saying that, for instance, everybody say, oh, Lagos is getting too congested. Why? I will ship my goods to Lagos. I will not carry them by road to the east. And we know that the roads they're not something we want to talk about. The trains network is not even up to the east. That will say, okay, let us go by train. So you cannot open up an economy of a country when you're concentrating everything in one place. The airport that is running, you ask yourself, what kind of ships bait there? Those are the questions. Because a lot of people feel, for instance, somebody shipping from China, goods going to Anambra. Everybody's comfortable with Lagos. But I can tell you this, that if you open up other ports in other states, just like all the governors are embarking on building international and local airports, you will have a more diversified economy. If there are ports, say there is one port in using the River Niger, you have one in Onitsha. Do you know the employment you will create in Onitsha? And you will decongest the ports in Lagos. There are some statements you don't make. But for those of us in the industry, we believe that we're not sure, you can't make it as a policy statement. We just believe that there's some form of, government unwillingness to make those ports as friendly as they should be. If an airport is as friendly as Lagos ports, a lot of people will patronize it. I have friends who use an airport. They're always complaining of one bottleneck or the other. They always complain of time factor and all of that. And that is where the minister should, look into. For me, I believe that we have too many ports in Lagos right now.
Okay.
And I believe that, the government should begin to think of other states. See, I keep saying this to the governors of the Southeast, if they will ever listen. It doesn't make sense, the governors of the 5 southeastern states, all of them building airports. It will be more economical for them to designate 2 airports in the Southeast and run a train network. If you have a train network in the entire Southeast, you don't need all this money you are spending building airports. And if the federal government will also be sincere to run a train network to the Southeast, so that people who are moving their goods from Lagos can actually use train to be more comfortable, to be more economical. When people of the Southeast talk about marginalization, it is glaring from the activities of the federal government that the Southeast is systematically being marginalized. But I must say that the leaders we have in the Southeast are rather the ones championing this marginalization. Because they're the ones marginalizing their people. If the federal government refused to do the roads leading to the Southeast, why are the governors not doing the roads? If the federal government refuses to bring projects to the Southeast, why are the governors not embarking on projects? There's an Igbo proverb that says that somebody that is rejected by his family does not reject himself.
Yes.
So when we talk about development, even in Lagos, go and check the trajectory of development in Lagos from the time of the late Lateef Jakande to date. Most times when the federal government will not, even when Fashola was there, Fashola embarked on some roads, federal roads, he fixed them, and he went back to the federal government to say, you're owing me. Why are your governors in the Southeast not doing the same thing? Why are your governors in the Southeast not coming out to say, it is time for us to have a port in the Southeast? Gradually, Lagos is becoming a model for other states. They're building wonderful train network. Why are your governors in the Southeast not thinking out of the box?
Well, thank you so much for a very lot of insightful. It's very, very informative and insightful that you've heard talk about the survival of one-day terminal operation. But in your last words, what do you think that the government should have done better, and how do you think you can improve the patronage to importers out there, particularly on bonded terminal operations?
Well, let's look at importers. I think that government should create some form of enabling environment for importers to increase our imports. It's very, very important. There are too many bottlenecks, taxes here and there, and it's not helping import. Good, government will say, oh, we want to stop import. We want the local industries to grow. But the local industries themselves do not even have the strength to crawl. Under this present dispensation, they are finding it difficult to crawl. I also don't believe it is proper for you to say you will stop the importation of this because you want the local one to grow up. Let the local one start first. Suffice with this. And then when you believe that the local one has come of age, you cannot stop this. You can't chase two things at the same time. A man whose house is on fire cannot be chasing rats. That is on one side. Now, on the other side, for the bonded terminals, I think government must realize that these are businesses that people have invested so much money in. And so government must create patronage for them. And how do you create this patronage? This whole idea of, creating a competition between the three major ports or the three major commands in Lagos is not helping bonded terminals. Because everyone is now holding on to what they have. And at the end of the day, the whole revenue goes where? Into one purse. So why not diversify it? So that even those you're paying salary from other commands, you would justify the salary you're paying to them. And I believe that, the CG of Customs, he's done so well. I'll give him kudos, because this is one CG that I've seen a lot of custom officers getting promoted. He's creating enlightenment, he's creating education, he's creating all sorts of programs. But he needs to look at, the relationship between the three commands, especially KLT. I belong to KLT, so I'm very passionate about KLT. So we expect that he should be able to allow KLT to survive. If KLT does not survive, those of us who are under KLT will not survive. We'll just wake up one morning and close shop. So the 1 million employment opportunity the federal government is talking about will be reduced. And that's the truth. So I think to a large extent, they need to understand that, first and foremost, that KLT is a dry land. And because it's a dry land, the other two commands that have water must supply their needs. So that those who are working with them will also survive. Other than that, the jobs opportunity being promised by Mr. President will become just talk, and it ends there. Because if people who are already employed are losing their own employment, and you're promising people who are still at home employment, does it make sense? It doesn't make any sense.
Industry insiders warn that unless KLT is fully recognized as an autonomous command or its terminals reassigned operations may grind to a halt. Now, they also called for harmonized oversight from Customs, the Nigerian Port Authority, and the Shippers Council, along with a drastic reduction in the multitude of overlapping freight associations that breed confusion and corruption. Now, without urgent reforms and infrastructure upgrades, bonded terminals key to easing port congestions and boosting trade risk, losing relevance with the direct consequences for Nigeria's economy and jobs.
Are you planning a special occasion, or are you looking for a place to store your boat? Welcome to Big's Boat Club and Gardens. Our gardens provides a serene ambience for those special occasions like weddings, birthdays, family picnics, or any outdoor event. And if you're a boat lover and you've been worried about where to store your precious boat, worry no more. We introduce Big's Boat Club and Gardens. At Big's Boat Club and Gardens, we are more than just a boatyard. We are a premier destination for boat lovers. We provide a secure environment for you to store your priceless boats, and we ensure they are in top shape for whenever you need them. Our members have freedom to commercialize their boats for exclusive cruises and luxury trips to stunning beach houses. And when it's time to set sail, our on-site fuel station ensures you are always ready to cruise in style. Big's Boat Club and Garden is located at Wale Olateju Crescent off Admiralty Way, Lekki Phase 1. Follow us on Instagram at BigsGarden_BBC. Big's Garden, where leisure meets lifestyle.
Maritime Frontiers proudly sponsored by Big's Garden Boat Club. Big's Garden is the best place to have your event. Also a refreshing atmosphere to relax. They have restaurants serving amazing dishes, boat cruises, club parties. You can check out their page or send them a DM on Instagram at bigsgarden_BBC. This is where we wrap up today's episode of Maritime Frontiers. You can also follow me at Mina_OJ03 and other social media platforms.